Yo, brother. How you doing?
I'm probably about as good as you today. Uh, how are you?
How many how many people have you got working for you at the moment?
It's a
Like, I feel
monster.
like it's a new producer every time I come into this show.
How was he? Was he good?
He was great. He was great, but I was like, I don't know if I've spoken to you before. I don't think it was the same as the last guy.
We got a dude. We have a fucking army, man. We
Yeah.
we have an army. It's that Zcash rotation into new hires. How are you, man?
Ollie Mark hit. Great. Yeah, life is good, man. It's been a long week, and it's late here, but it's been a good week.
It's been an incredible week, dude.
What about you?
I'm awesome. You just what was the P&L you just posted? What was the time frame on that? You
Which
tweeted
one?
you
The one I
tw-
just posted?
you tweeted a P&L or no?
Yeah, yesterday I tweeted a P&L. Yeah. On the perp account.
It was gross, wasn't it?
Um, that's since May. That's since May.
Wow.
It's been and it was a good last couple of days too. So it's been a bit harder than that now. But yeah, I
Impressive.
don't know. It's just been a good run. I came on this show before and I said I was on a good run, but this is really just now
Well, so you
extending
came
to being.
on, I think, for like Aster BNB. I think was the last time you came on. It was like BNB, and you were really low on BNB.
Zcash.
Did you come on
No,
for
no, I came
Zcash?
on and talked. Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Dude, I came on. Zcash is the trade.
Yeah, I guess you did, dude. Fuck, you're on
Brother.
like a Jenny run right now.
Yeah, that was like 3 weeks ago when it was trading like 150, 200, I think. And I said it was the trade. And then you kept selling it out of it.
Dude.
Uh,
I mean,
it's you,
we are in the.
I mean, you've done well to keep the trade, but it does feel a little bit toppy here, I have to say. On the synthetics thing, like the trading competition thing,
Uh-huh.
I've gone max short Zcash, max long Bitcoin. We'll see how that one goes for the rest of the day.
I have about 20, so my last sells were like 720. I sold it pretty hard. I have like 15 to 20% of my bag left. And yeah, man, we're at the stage of like Newton's friends get rich, which is like a little bit of a weird it's like a little bit of a weird feeling. Newton's friends get rich, but okay. First of all, tell me your trade on Zcash. Like, where did you enter? How much have you sold? What do you have left? And then we can get into some like the specifics.
I got in at 130. So I picked up on this when Mer was shilling it. I think Anson was shilling it as well.
Yeah, early.
Quite early doors, like when it was trading just below 100, and then it just gapped to 160 one day, and I was like, whenever it dips, you have to buy it. You just have to buy it. So it dipped down to 120 or 130 area one day, and I went big then, and was like, I think this one can keep running. And to be honest, like I do a lot of shows a day, so I was like asking people I do the shows with, and they were like, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. Like, who the fuck cares about privacy? And I was like, I think this one's got a bit more, can keep going. And then when you had 1010, the big nuke, that it kind of just rallied then. And then I was like, wow, this thing's going to keep going. So I kept it. I added to it again when it dipped back below 200. And then I actually got out of a decent amount of it at 350. If you bring up like the daily chart of Zcash, it like looked around 350 like it was going to break down, and then it didn't. It just did like 7 straight up days since then. And luckily, I bought back a little bit of it at around 340, but then a big bit of it around 380, 390 when it just nuked like 25% in an hour. I don't know if you're well aware of that. I think it may have been like European hours, and I got back in then. And then I've just been like holding on. Although today I sold about 70%.
Oh,
Of it.
yeah. It feels like a pretty good day to sell some. I first of all, congratulations on the trade. I have like all right. This is my main question is where are these flows on Zcash coming from? Like who is buying and how like why how where is it coming from?
I don't know. I think it must be Bitcoin OGs because it has that Bitcoin element around it. And Satoshi was talking about like how we could fix this privacy issue. And there's a few people that look at it and go like, right, this is going to be a Bitcoin like trade. Bitcoiners, I think some Bitcoiners look at this like they look at no other altcoin. You know what I mean? Like they don't. It's not like they're necessarily into altcoins, but they see Zcash and like, okay, well, it's kind of like Bitcoin, but it's got a privacy element to it. So I think there's been a bit of rotation there. I also just think it's been a bit self. This is the reason why I did this trade on the on synthetics today, because I'm like, I think it's been a bit self-perpetuating where the rest of the market dumps and everyone's like, well, Zcash is the one thing that's going to go higher. And I think that if the market turns here, let's say if Bitcoin does go back up to like 106, 107K, there's going to be a bit of that FOMO back into other coins. And I kind of feel like it's because it's held up so well. Everyone just knows it's the thing to own whenever everything else is dumping. So I think it's a bit of that. I don't know here. Like it's like I was listening to what you were saying before you went live. I think it's fair. Like you've done a really good trade on this. You saw a little bit probably too early in this. Like trades like this don't happen that often. I think the last one, honestly, was hype. When hype, I remember when Flood.
Yeah.
I think maybe you came on your show, was it?
Yeah.
And similarly was like, this is 100x. It was trading at like 8, and he was like, I'm selling everything I own to buy more hype. And then it just went up and up and up and up and up. And then it went to like 25, 30. And you just couldn't get in. There was just no way you could get in on that way up, because it was like, if you missed it, you felt like you were buying into just, you're going to get wrecked at any one point. And it's kind of felt like that the whole time with this one as well. And it only happens a few times a year where you just kind of like ignore what would normally be a sell signal. Like you ignore the RSI. Like RSI being above 90 is bullish at these sort of moments. It's like everyone just can't pile into this thing enough. And I just felt like that for a little bit on this way up. So I just had like some of the trend following. I was listening to what you were saying to Maine yesterday, and he actually put it kind of perfectly, which is you just have a trend following indicator on like a 1 hour. And if that starts to break down a little bit, then you sell some. And it did a little bit today. When it dumped from like 780 down to 660, wherever it was just now, it broke down a little bit then. And then also funding has started to go a bit more positive. I don't know if you're following Zec funding.
So
but it's
dude,
been like
this is
quite an obvious thing.
This is I'm not a perp trader ever. I've never been a perp trader. From everything I've done in spot, pump with spot, all these trades with spot. After I missed Aster, I'm like, all right, I know Aster wasn't like you have to understand perps to buy Aster, but I was like, I need to get some coverage. And so I started trading perps, just like a little bit, dabbling, trade plasma a little bit, trade 00, unfortunately. And then this whole Zeke trade was perps. And the entire move, like up until like this morning, I've been getting paid to stay long. The only green coin in the whole market. It's insane to fun. So everyone's just like rage shorting this with infinite size the whole way up. Like, is that normal on these parabolic moves?
No, like that was the reason why it was such an easy hold, right? And I spoke about this 2 days ago with like writing down a trade journal, and that was one of the reasons why I was in the trade as well. It's like I am earning 500% a year, literally 500% a year to be long this thing, even if it dips. If the funding is staying like that, like I can chill, particularly in size of just like the theta of a trade like that. So it was an easy hold. And then that has also started to turn today, which tells me that on this dip, people have been going more long it. You know what I mean? And funding's almost close to flat on some exchanges now.
On hype, it's 10%.
And I just,
for me, annualized.
Only 10%.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that says a lot, right? It just tells you that the trade is now becoming a bit more two-sided on the perp side of stuff. And I just don't need to be in it as much. So I'm just kind of out of it. And then, yeah, I mean, synthetics is just fake money, but I just thought it was a fun one to see if that one happened.
Yeah, the thing like I'm really trying to understand with this trade is that how is there a liquid like 20x on infinite size sitting in front of everyone's face, just sitting there waiting to be slammed? No one was talking about it.
You weren't in the cabal?
I guess.
You weren't in the cabal chat?
I know,
yeah.
right? I didn't get the KOL deal for Zashi. I know. Like, let me ask, how much of this pump is purely KOL driven Mert slash Ansem slash Naval slash the rest? Over 50%?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I picked up on it because Mert was talking about it, right? So I'm not going to say it wasn't that, but I think people often talk about this like there's some sort of, and maybe there are for certain coins, maybe there are for pump fund coins, but for something like this, like, I don't know. I've tended to find that most KOLs, they're kind of frenemies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're the best, but I hope I do better than you. And it's a bit like that with a lot of people, particularly in the trading community. So the idea that everyone would get together and just full port this, like a coin like Zcash, which is a proof of work coin, which has been out for like years, it's just not really realistic. Like if this is obviously a new shit coin, then yeah, like you can obviously cabal that. But this wasn't really a cabal. I just think people came together on it. And to be clear, like this is a narrative that's happened before. Like so many people have said privacy is a narrative, privacy is a narrative, privacy is a narrative. And it just never really stuck. But a lot of people believed in it. There are a lot of people who've owned Zcash and been mining it for like years and years and years. So, and I think it's also just respected. It's one of these things where like everyone kind of gets that about crypto. I mean, you're in crypto, dude. Like crypto is meant to be fundamentally cryptographic, right? Yeah. You're meant to have some sort of level of privacy about what you are doing. And that's been one of the main issues of public blockchains. So I think there is just like this very deep to the core understanding from a lot of people who've been in crypto for a long time that this could be a big narrative. I think it can keep going. Like Zk, everyone looks at the chart, but when you look at the FTV, things at like 10 billion, 11 billion, like that could go to fucking 50.
I mean, I keep saying it, that this is probably, there's a reasonable chance this is one of those trades that I sell for 5x and it goes like 200x. Like this could be one of those kind of like I don't understand how these OG Bitcoin people held from 1K to 100K. Like I don't get it because there's no way I could be in that spot, you know?
Yeah. I this is the thing. Don't not buy back in. Do you know what I mean? Like if this does dip and it goes 100, 500, you're not going to find a better coin, I don't think, in terms of a narrative here. This feels like a medium-term narrative to me. It doesn't feel like a narrative that's just going to die down because of the people buying it. So I think it's a buy on anything significant, but I just think it's just got a bit frothy, right? And you can just read that from the technicals of what's going on right now. So it's a great trade. I would hold this one as one of the best coins for the next 12 months. But I also think the market's sneakily coming back a bit.
Dude,
today, right?
Dude, I wanted to get your take on this real quick too. I also think there was like, last thing on the Zcash, and I want to talk broader market, is there also just was some like timing things that worked out. Like, I don't know, like Zoran winning New York right in the middle of this like Zcash pump. Like the privacy, everything that's happening in the UK with digital IDs and shit. Like it's kind of just like lining up for this to be proponent. Can you give me okay? I agree with you, by the way, on the market. It's like, I think there was a Stoic Savage tweet, and it was like, man, if the bears are unable to really push Bitcoin under 100K now, worst price sentiment narrative in a long time, equities are red, Nvidia was getting killed. When is it going to happen if it's not right now? And then if this is that like trader main local bottom, there's some spots, man, like OR is up to like 250 mil. Zcash is going crazy. Like there's some things that like look decent. Like what's your read on like the 100K Bitcoin pricing right now first? My opinion is that you're right in that I think the market looks okay here, but I'd be very wary of just like FOMO into altcoins when that happens. Like I actually just think Bitcoin looks okay here. And if we do see a breakdown in equities, which I think is like a little bit more likely now, then last time this happened, what happens is like, let's say crypto sells off first, then equities start to sell off, and then Bitcoin's the thing that has the digital gold narrative. And like people go, oh, okay, that's actually okay. The fact that the market is still sitting above the 50-week moving average is a very big deal. Everyone should be looking for that on Sunday. It's 103K. If we're above that, I kind of agree with what Stoic Savage is saying. Like this has been pretty horrific, and Bitcoin still held on to this like very key. We've held that 50-week moving average since 25K, right? And we've touched it a number of times, never gone below it.
Well, we've gone below it, and then it's by the end of the week, it's gone back above, and people will generally say if we spend 2 weeks below that, it's often the sign of the bear market. That has been the sign of the bear market for the last 4 year cycles for all of them basically. So, and it's held it so far. So today when it was at 100K, I was doing this Bitcoin trade because I was like, well, they're going to defend this. Like, I feel like it's got a bit of it's going to, whatever happens, they're going to try and defend this 103K level. We're now there, but I think I would just still prefer Bitcoin. There's a couple of altcoins that still look relatively strong, like the perp dexes look quite strong at the moment, like Astra and Hype have bounced, and yeah, right. They look at, and BNB actually looks better than a lot of the other L1s. But other than that, to be honest, why fuck around? Just own Bitcoin. If you want to have more risk, just own levered Bitcoin. Like, I think it's really, because I've had this trade, and this is one of the good things from how I've traded this year is I've done this breakout trade. So like an alt breaks out, I get into it. I normally have been using futures grid. So you like make some money from basically it's like an LP. So you make some money from the yield around that. But like 60-70% of the time, they just get smashed lower. Like we had ETH originally, right? ETH was the first one to start moving. Then BNB, then Solana moved. We had, in that time, we also had Pump move, Hype moved, Asta moved, Tau moved, Athena moved, and they all just go up. And then just one day you look at it and it's just down 20%. You're like, oh, okay. And then it just hits a new low. It's like it takes out whatever support level it was. The only one that hasn't happened with is Zcash. So I'm still really wary of buying altcoins right now because I think Bitcoin needs to be above like 110, 115K for those sort of moves actually to be sustained. So for now, I'm just going to be very big in Bitcoin. And you have a very clear invalidation, which is that 50-week moving average basically gets lost for 1 week. If it gets lost for 2 weeks, it's not a great sign. But and you probably need to leave yourself some leeway on like a wick, so like down to like 95. That's sort of level. So it's not that bad. 7-8% move versus probably a similar sort of upside in the short term, right? That it could go to like 115, 100, something like that. So the upside downside's not that terrible. It's not the best trade I've ever seen, but it's like it's not that bad.
What's your signal to like we're liking to 130, 140? Like what do we need to hold to get to 140?
140. I mean, I feel like we're way far away from there right now. I think I've been of the view we're going to have a Santa Claus rally. So, and I'm still sticking to that. I didn't think we were going to have a 4 year cycle, but a lot of people in crypto think it's going to be a 4 year cycle. A lot of the market cap of crypto think it's going to be a 4 year cycle. I think a lot of newer people that have come in since maybe 2020 onwards are kind of a bit like, well, it's not necessarily to be a 4 year cycle, but a lot of the OG Bitcoiners that own a ton of Bitcoin are just like, it's the 4 year cycle. It's the halving. It happens every single time. Like, don't fuck with this. So, and
isn't that kind of like retarded though? It's like, okay, we're gonna just do this 4 year cycle thing forever. It's that easy. You just turn your brain off and follow it.
I know, and maybe we're the retards, because they just smashed them in Q4, and I didn't think they'd be able to. I thought we'd be okay during this period. Stocks hitting all-time high, gold hits all-time high, and they called us out for being the retards. So now we're at this crucial moment of, was this a 4 year cycle or not? I'm like fully prepared to also be wrong, but in my gut, I think we get maybe the most of the selling, in my opinion, if you're selling for a 4 year cycle, will be done it's probably already done. But by the end of November, I think if you're selling for that, you're probably a bit late. So I think the flows around that will slow. And then stuff that I don't think that is important now, but I think could be important to like rally round as a narrative would be stuff like the government shutdown ends around Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you about that. What happens if the gov reopens?
I don't really think that's the reason we've been selling off, because other assets haven't really cared about that. There's a loose correlation to liquidity, you could argue. But I think it's just one of these things, like crypto price narrative follows price, and we were just like, oh well, it must be that. There is like the ETFs, but I mean, it's not like the L1s have been with ETFs have been doing that well. So I don't know if it's like the ETFs are going to come save us. I don't think that's the reason why we've been selling off, but I think it's enough of a narrative headline to be like, okay, this is the stuff that like stop selling, guys. So I think it's going to be maybe the thing that turns it, and I still think we'll have a bullish end to the year. And then if we're still rallying going into like Q1 of next year, there's going to be serious questions about the 4-year cycle there, because then it will be like, right, we're going to be an extended cycle. Can this continue? Are we more like stocks now? And then I think we do have a catch up to just the other correlations that we've just lost recently, which is stocks, gold, global M2, all this sort of stuff has broken down horrifically in the last few months.
Well, it feels like just like left brain, the longer we could stay above like 100, 103, every day that goes by that we're still above it, you got to start to question it a little bit harder. Like, all right, like, are we just maybe we just like front ran a little equities bottom, and we're just fucking time to play catch up here? Like, the longer it stays above, right, you got to start to ask some questions.
Yeah, or they come down to us,
Yeah.
Either one. I don't necessarily think that would be like as bad as people say it would be for crypto right now. It feels like people have been wrecked enough. And like I said, I think that Bitcoin is gold narrative may mean that we probably would go lower, but then I think we bounce actually and probably outperform slightly more, even in a 5 to 10% move here in stocks, something like that.
You know the thing about alts? Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say, like, bring it to the alt comp a little bit. One thing that's like a little bit jarring is when you talk about, probably don't just like slam into alts. There's really like nothing to buy. It's like alarming how there's nothing to buy. There's like a couple coins that are interesting. I wish I held hype. I'm not really interested in pump fund anymore. I think the launchpad trade is like pretty fried. There's like like Aster makes the list of alts. Like Zcash makes the list of alts. Like these things like didn't even exist on my radar 3 months ago. It's crazy how small and thin the list is.
I think that's probably something that me and you probably could have learned with some of the other trades that we've both been involved in, is that like my faith in altcoins over a medium term just is not there. Like I'll let the chart decide when the fuck I should get out of this rather than have belief in some of them. And I think you just have to go through the cycles. That's one thing, again, that I think I've done well this year is not be a full believer in these breakouts. Know that they can hurt you, but play them until and then just have they start to peter out, and then just have like a stop in profit. So like you make sure you're banking these good trades. Pump would be a good example for you, right? Like you had the right trade on, but like you didn't actually master probably the exit of that trade. And this is the number one thing I see with everyone in crypto.
This is why I'm selling right now. Is I'm just like I was in pump. I had a plan, and then once you break ATH, everyone starts filing in. They're like, pump is a top 10 coin, like CCM. They're gonna bring speed and Kai Cenat, and all of a sudden the narrative changes, and then my plan changes with the narrative, and that's why I kind of got fucked. One thing I want to ask you too is like, not to just hijack your take, but like one thing I feel like I'm getting better at that I think you are like one of the best at is you are just always in the best coin. You're always in the best coin. No matter what it is, when it is, you are just like in the best, whether it was BNB, whether it was Aster, whether it was Pump, early AI days, when it was Go, like now when it's Zcash, even Tau, like you're just like in the best coin. Like how are you always in the best coin?
I think I follow breakouts. That's generally what I do. So like I'll buy winners. I'm not often there to buy blood. Let me put it that way. Like, because I think in crypto that can be a very long game, even with good trades. Like you can be sitting there being like, this is the trade, and you can be sitting there for 6 months and it just goes sideways or just like gradually goes lower. So I'll generally keep more Bitcoin, and then I'll buy breakouts of alts. And then what I've been doing recently is doing that alongside these sort of these futures grids, which has been something that I've added, and it's been quite good because often when an altcoin breaks out, it becomes very volatile. Like in 1 hour candles, it's going up, down 10%. And if you can earn some yield on that, basically on that breakout. You can also protect yourself if it just rugs. You know, if it is like this year, so many have broken out and then just got smashed back down lower. You can kind of still make money in the trade. So I think it's actually the best tactic I've found it's the tactic that I like the most. It's just to buy breakouts rather than buying, oh, this looks like it's found a bottom. Because often if it's found a bottom, it will bounce. But then it's really difficult to like not then think, oh, it's going to keep on going and we're going to keep on recovering back to like the all-time high. And often then you hold it a bit too long and you get screwed in it. I like coins where they're breaking out and like, oh, it could be new highs, and then you never really know where it's going to end, you know? So, what was that tweet by Suzu, right? The most money's ever been made by buying breakouts, right?
Yeah, buying highs, whatever. Yeah.
I think you should look for that, honestly.
So you're doing a lot of buying high, selling higher. You're not like sniping lows of charts.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's just the trade in crypto, because also so many coins just never come back, right? They're just done. Like you literally said the tweet from GCR before it came live, right? You
prize fighters.
You have to long your longs, and I just think that those are the like, keep your winners, cut the losers. I just think that is the way not to get that wrecked. You have to have very strong like risk discipline about longing stuff on a breakout. Like I just said, you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to long it and this thing's going to go 10x. You have to be like, if it then breaks down, I have a stop. Because if you're wrong, then it can go down and then down another like 20, 30, 40%.
Yeah, you need to stop.
Yeah, you need stops to do it, but I do think it's got the best upside.
Like, this is like so retard left brain, but it's just like more fun to hold good coins. And I imagine you're playing like range breakouts on plasma right now. It's just like, bro, it's just like you're having the worst time ever. You know what I mean? Buying that lower and low. You're having the worst time ever with that fucking coin.
And but a lot of people are in that because they have bag bias, and it's sometimes seen as a good risk reward trade, which sometimes it can be, right? Like if something is like it's formed a clear bottom, it can bounce 10 to 20%, but that's kind of it. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no 2x with this thing. It's normally just it's found a bottom and now you're in this thing for a year.
It can't get worse.
And yeah, I think that's sometimes how people think about their coins. It's like they get attached to them and then they think, it can never, I want to protect it. If I sell this alongside my original bag, it's going to get even worse for it. And it's just not as fun. So I would suggest that as a long-term strategy in crypto, to always look for things that are breaking out of like a much longer trend or are hitting all-time highs. Like Zcash obviously hasn't hit an all-time high, but it was once it broke, I think it was 200. It was like this thing hasn't been there since like 2021. Like this was going to be a big move.
There's a thread guy. Ask Mando if you're supposed to keep your winners, why did Mando sell Zcash and is now shorting ? Could you please ask?
So to be clear, I'm not short Zcash. I'm just doing that for the synthetics trade because I was like, I've got to beat fucking Fang, he's got like 400 grand at the top of this thing. Wow, he's at 800 grand now.
Oh my god.
I like Zcash long term. My view was there was more of a short term trade. I actually haven't sold it on all the ways up. It just broke down of that. I just said the way to get out of these trades is if it starts to break down on a shorter time frame. Like I normally follow trend following indicators, and once it broke from 780 down to 660 in that breakdown, it gave me a sell signal on the 1 hour, and I was like, right, I'm going to sell a decent amount of this right now, and then I was just following the funding. So I've held that actually throughout some pretty close calls on those breakdowns, and this is the first time I've sold. I sold some at 350 because again it broke down then, but then it went back up, and I made sure I got back into the trade. So I don't think I broke any of my rules that way. Like,
So
but that was it is a when it's doing 8x and like 16x in a month, like you said.
are you selling when like you're selling on like red candles when like trends have broken, or when whatever your indicators are have like you're not selling like a green printer on the way up, but more so 10% lower when it starts to flip and like break some trend?
Yeah, because I just tend to find that I'm not very good at just, like you said, you had some levels, right, in your head that you would sell at. And what does that mean?
It's arbitrary.
Like,
You're just like break it,
no
leg
one,
up,
yeah,
sell.
no one cares about your levels,
Yeah.
right? So like let the indicators, I think, govern what those levels should be, and then sell then. So, and I don't think what you'd said is actually really like a system. It's just like, oh, I made enough money, so I wanted to take some money out.
Well, this is why I feel
think that
weird
is
about
like,
the selling, by the way, is I'm like, I don't really have a plan. It just happened to work out, kind of, but it's not like a proper strategy at all. It's just like balls tingle, sell 5%, 10% here. I'm just like fucking ripping, you know?
so, and that maybe for the audience, it's probably good to show that against Pump, right? So they were probably quite similar, but Pump never reached the level that you thought it was. You know, when people were talking about Pump, they were like, this thing is going to go to 20 billion, right? This thing should be level with Hyperliquid. And you probably didn't have the Zcash moment where I'm up so much that I need to get out, right? But if you'd been following the trend indicator sort of view, so like it broken down through, let's say, certain number of moving averages on a 1 hour, 4 hour time frame, you would have sold it. And you wouldn't have bag held it all the way down, because you didn't like those arbitrary levels in your head. They don't mean anything. And it's the same with this. Like you did a good trade, like you held onto the right trade. But if you don't have a systematic way of getting out of trades, it is the number one thing that people fuck up on. I tend to find that traders are really good at, everyone can get into a trade, right? Like, oh, I just full ported this fucking thing, or I'll DCA and they'll try and be smart. A few are very good at picking winners. So they'll be like, oh, this guy's good at picking the coin that does 3, 5, 10x. A lot of people, even who are good at picking winners, are very bad at the exit bit of it. They'll either sell way too early because they'll think, right, like you just said, I'm up too much. Like, I don't like being in trades like this. Like, I don't like round tripping, all this sort of stuff. They have no plan for getting out of a trade. So just like get yourself a plan for getting out of a trade. I do think what you did right was like slowly getting out of it. So don't just be, I'm all in, I'm all out. But yeah, you need to have a plan to get out of trades. And also when you're wrong. So like, I'm talking about good scenarios here where you're in profit. You also have to have levels where you're out of the trade because you're out of it via a stop loss, or normally, and this is for every trade I've done, I'll write down the reasons I'm in for a trade. So like, why did I get long Zcash? Because I was like, this is going to be a strong privacy narrative. Funding is negative, and on the futures grid stuff, it was making like 500% APY. So I was like, this is just an insane trade to just hold. And then once those things start to break down, like again, I looked at it today. I was like, well, the funding is actually turned. So that bit of the trade is slightly turned here, and it's broken down some of my short-term reasons. So like one of the fundamental reasons I got into the trade has also shifted. And similarly for a stop loss, you could be like, well, I thought it was going to break out, or I thought it looked good because the ETF came for like, let's say one of these L1s. That didn't happen. They didn't have strong inflows. I'm out of the trade. And then you kind of realize, you go back to the way why you got into the trade. You know, like you're like, oh, I did get into it for that reason, and that's not really true anymore. So now I'm out.
So can you break down, like, because I think you're actually completely right. This is the hardest part. Like I actually make a lot of good trades, but I don't land the ship that often. I've landed the ship on this one. I think if it went to 0, I've landed it still, but maybe not as cleanly, not as like repeatable as, I don't like have a system I can rinse and repeat. Can you break down a little bit deeper, like on a winning trade? What is your strategy? What indicator are you looking at when it breaks or shows sell? What percent are you selling? Like what's your strategy? Like just use Zcash. Like what was your like specific plan, to as much as you're willing to share?
Yeah. So I don't think it's really not been some super insane way of looking at stuff. Maybe I could share my screen.
Yeah, it's screen share.
Can I do that? So, oh, I got to do it on Discord, right? One sec.
Yeah. I won't show it to you, like, or feel good about what's on the screen.
No, it's not gonna let me to.
Really?
This may work. This may work. I had to change my computer settings to be able to do it. Oh, it's gonna have me to quit and reopen. Not gonna be able to do it. But the I use Renko candles, which are like the candles which you can find them very quickly on TradingView, but they don't show all the price
What is it called?
movements. They just show Renko candles.
Is it Hyperliquid too?
Maybe on Hyperliquid, but definitely on TradingView. And you'll see these. You may have seen charts. Who does charts like this? A couple of traders do charts like this, but they basically show you trends much easier than candles. I use those, and then I use trend followers. Like when those have broken through certain moving averages, it will just send me a buy signal on TradingView, and then I'll look at it and I'll decide if that's like a buy. So it's like a very systematic way of getting in and out of trades. But I don't think that's the thing. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone has some sort of way of like, oh yeah, this is what I look at to get into a trade or get out of a trade. It's actually the discipline about what I just said before. It's like actually following the signal and then having a like setting your stop losses in the right place and all this sort of stuff. That's the discipline bit of it that I think is important. And again, writing down why you're in.
How are you writing a stop loss? Like, what, you just 20% enter, 25%? Like, do you have you look at like a trend, maybe like below break support here kind of thing?
Yeah, normally it's linked back to that breakout. So it's like, where would it then break back down? So it's normally some sort of level like 10 to 20% below where you're getting into it. I don't look at it in the same way of, I know Trader Main's like a R versus like 5R sort of trader. Like I look at it, like have a very defined stop loss. My stop loss again is defined by where it would then break down on that chart.
Got it.
The trend would not work.
Interesting. And what are you using for like on chart indicators? Just like moving averages?
The one that I use the most, honestly, is called Bollinger Alert by Just Uncle L. That's the one I use the most, and it just gives. But there's a ton of different ones. Yeah, but they give. Honestly, you can find thousands. I guess.
I see.
Focusing on this, I don't think it's the thing that will really change stuff. It's more just getting yourself a system and then having the discipline around it, which is the key. Because you can get into a trade which shows you, hey, this trend is forming, and then if you have no plan to get out of it, you'll just it will break down and you'll lose more than you even put in. Like it will just be you just fucked it up. So you have to have both at the same time.
I've just always wondered, like,
system for like, yeah.
I was gonna say, I've always wondered, like, what is it seems like the 50-week moving average, like everybody has overlaid on their chart.
For Bitcoin, yeah. For Bitcoin, like that is the big thing. I mean, I don't even know what the 50-week moving average is for ETH, but those are like very long-term indicators that has been with everyone for all the bull cycle. So the 50-week is like very important for Bitcoin. I don't know if people are looking at 50-week on like ETH or Solana or anything else really. Even total. I'm not even think they're looking at like crypto total market cap. Okay,
so it's just a Bitcoin thing.
It's just a Bitcoin thing. But I think moving averages, again, they just show you that there's a trend happened. It doesn't tell you that. It doesn't tell you you're just going to make a ton of money. It just tells you that like a trend has happened, and now you can potentially set up a trade whereby what I just described, you can define your downside, and then you know when you're going to get out of it if it continues to do well.
Yeah. Like I think the thing that
I think it's a very simple model that you can do. It's just the discipline of doing it is where everyone falls down, particularly on the exit.
Yeah, I think what I have like a lot of room to grow is get the narrative right, enter the coin, understand why I'm in, but then figuring out like what that system is, if even really simple, that I should be following rather than just balls tingle. Because I feel like balls tingle can get you a long way, but it doesn't like land the ship for you, and especially when things Like balls tingle doesn't really help you on like 10-10 that well. You know what I mean? Because balls like are scared on 10-10.
I think balls tingle actually. I quite like it.
Yeah,
If I'm honest, like I as an investment mandate, particularly someone like you, because you speak to so many people each day, you will pick up on these now. Like, when was Zcash first mentioned? Was it mentioned before I came on your show?
early October.
I feel like it must have.
Early October. I think first
Right.
like October like 8th, 7th or 8th maybe.
Yeah, so it was probably just before I came on, because that was when it was starting to like move. You will pick up on every narrative as they break in crypto. There's no doubt about it. So you don't necessarily have to follow the trend following as much, because you like they'll come on your fucking show and say, hey, this is going to be the next big thing. But I do think that balls tingle can make you a lot of money, but yeah, just have a defined way of getting out of the trades too. You know.
So you finish.
You can learn a lot more than from Pump than I think you can from Zcash. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. Like Zcash was like,
yeah,
you got it at the right time and you just hold on, and then it's literally just holding on.
It's the easiest trade
and
ever, actually. Yeah.
Even when it breaks back down, you've got negative funding. It's like you said, it was one of the easiest trades to hold during this period. Holding something like Pump or Asta, where funding's really actually the other way. It's like really positive, and it feels frothy, but it keeps on going. That's a bit more of a difficult trade. And I think Pump was a bit more like that, right? Asta was the same. Asta funding was like completely the other way. It was like 200%.
So did you trade
a year
Pump?
to hold? I traded it a little bit, but not on the when it went from 4-ish, I think, to like 6 or 7, I think. But it went higher, right? It went to like 8 or 9. But I think I have to go back to what happened during that period. There was other trades which I had on at the time. I got into it, basically. It broke down at some point, and I didn't have it as big. I didn't get into it as big at the start of the trade, basically. So I made some money from it, but not like a lot.
Like I guess I should do more like post-mortem on this Pump trade, because I actually like I kept probably like 30% of my OG bag for too long, that I ended up just capitulating on 10-10 because I wanted to pay taxes. But I should do more post-mortem on like why, like where I should have sold, how much I should have sold. Obviously, you're not going to be perfect, but I didn't really do much of that at all, actually.
I just said 6, 7, and the fucking chat's going wild.
Yeah, I know. They're fried.
I just think that Zcash is a trade where like you can look good, but it doesn't necessarily help you, because I think it was a bit of a layup. You can learn from all of these trades, right? Like you should 100% have some sort of. You don't do that many trades, right? How many trades do you actually do? It feels like you're kind of
Pump. I traded Cake, which I got stopped on, and then I traded Zcash.
So why not have a trading log? Like, why would you not do that if you're doing it in such big size? Like, just literally write down why you've got in, when you got in, size, what you think the upside is, what you think your downside would be, set your loss around your downside, and then just follow back at it. When you then get out, eventually you'll be like, okay, well, I was right about this. I had my plan to exit around there. Like, it will really help you. And your audience as well, because you'll be able to, instead of having to come on here and have to justify yourself each time to like, oh, I sold a little bit here, I sold a little bit there. Well, this is where I'm going to sell.
Okay, tell me this. Might sound retarded, and it's not this easy, but like, why can't, and I guess you kind of do this, why can't we just sit here in spot BTC and cash and then just wait for the God narrative and just hit it every time? Like, why can't you just like rinse and repeat Zcash, Pump, Aster? Like, can you just do that every time and just only trade like God narratives?
That's what I've been doing all year.
We could just do like, can I just do this every time? I just do nothing now until the next one, and it's just like, boom, hit it again, did it again.
Easily. It's actually, I think it's the best thing to do in crypto. Like I just said, particularly if you're making some money from like the yield of like I said, if you're using futures grids or spot grids around these sort of things, you can actually earn like a decent amount, almost like a yield when you're holding a futures position or holding a spot position. It's like an LP. I think they're pretty easy holds because they're often super volatile, And yeah, this is why you asked me why you're always in the trades that break out. Like, just you don't have to be in the other trades, right? You have to be pretty ruthless about getting out of the ones that aren't the trade. You know what I mean?
Did you trade
Because
plasma?
a lot of these look like the trade when they start, and then they don't. I didn't trade plasma actually. No, it broke down like pretty soon. I think it broke down like after 48 hours, right? It was just like
Yeah, it's quick.
it didn't even look like it. Yeah.
So we could just do this over and over again, and I just can like avoid the I don't have to trade any of the crap. We could just hit size 3-4x's on repeat every time.
Well, yeah, this was a particularly easy one, I think,
This one was
because of the funding.
Pump wasn't easy though. I don't think super easy. Man, it wasn't the hardest.
No, like if you're going to give difficulty ratings to these sort of trades, like pump was a much more difficult trade. Like pump was like a 7 out of 10 sort of trade, I would
6 or
reckon,
7.
to like hold during that period, because a lot of people also had very high price targets for pump at that time, right? It was like pump is going to, why does pump trade not a third of where hyperliquid trades, you know, or half of where hyperliquid trades? So to think that you should get out at 8 or 7 or whatever it was, that would not necessarily be as obvious. It was only like a 2x, right?
Yeah,
So
it wasn't great.
that was a much more.
You my tax bracket has changed in the last couple of years, and so I'm trading with like amounts of money that are significantly bigger than what they used to be. How are you not jaded by, wow, number on my screen is so big, I have to start selling? Like, does that affect your trading? Like, oh my god, I'm seeing like many 7 figures on the screen, I'm gonna just start selling even though the chart looks great, trend hasn't broken. Like, are you immune to that?
I don't think I am, but then I am. Do you know what I mean? I told you that when the election happened, I remember I was up a lot, like I told you. Probably the most I've ever been up in a single week. And I didn't feel much. And I was like, oh, okay, this is probably a good sign that I don't feel much. Like, I think everything go a lot higher. And then when I lost it, like the vast majority of that back, I was like, oh God, you're a fucking idiot. Like, why did you not do that? So I think most traders will feel this. And I don't know if it's just me. You get desensitized to the wins after a while, and you only feel the losses. Like when you lose money, you're like, you're a fucking idiot. And when you make money, you're like, okay, good, right? Like I'm just kind of, the thrill of winning is not the same as the pain of losing.
Damn.
And I don't know why that is. So that kind of just keeps you going, though.
That's crazy. Guys like me and Mando, they're just like numb to wins, you know?
I think ever since I was a very young trader, like since I was trading at 20, right? I remember feeling the same thing. You start benchmarking yourself to a level, right? Often it's your high net worth, or it's like what P&L you want to make in a year. And you're like, once you start making that P&L, like, you start thinking, I'm on my way to get there. But then when you lose it, you're like, I'm a fucking idiot. So I think when I genuinely thought, and I looked back at, I remember even, I probably wrote this to other traders, like, I'm going to make like $50 million from after the Trump election. I was like, this is going to be multi-generational wealth sort of trade here. And then I just lost it. So like you just, and that felt terrible, even though in the space of probably about 2 weeks, I was still up, you know. It was like, you benchmark yourself. Your mind just does stupid shit when you're up money. You suddenly start thinking that this should be normal to you, and it's not.
Okay, so if you're always in the best coin, how are you identifying Zcash and Pump and Aster versus Plasma? Would it have just been your stop loss and you would have just gotten out of Plasma minus 20% onto the fucking next? Like, how are you identifying dud, fake narrative into the best?
I don't know. It's not. I don't have a big belief in any of that. Like Zcash, I also thought was going to break down. I didn't have some like massive belief that it would keep on going. So the good thing about it is you don't have to be a diehard believer that this is going to be 100x. You just kind of let it happen, and if it happens, fucking incredible. I think I've been in more trades which have broken down, which looked they were going to break out this year than ones that have kept. Like how many? The only one that kept going for a little bit was like BNB. BNB had like a strong run and kept on going. And all the others have just like broken down and hit new lows. Like Asta was pretty horrific. Even recently I was in Tau and I was like, all right, this was trading at 425. Look, it was going to break out again out of like like all year it had been trending. It started to break out, went up to 500. The next thing and then it did break down. I got out of that thing at like 460, having got in at 425, and it was already at 500. And I was kind of pissed. I was like, oh, I should have got out maybe higher. And then it was at 370 like the next day. It was these things when they break down, they're just brutal. They're just brutal. So
how much?
I don't think you
percentage.
I didn't. That's the thing. I got out in profit of that trade. But if you had held and actually believed that this was going to be the Zcash, you would have lost a lot. I think the market right now. This is why I don't have that much faith in altcoins, because the moment you believe, they just fuck you over at the moment, right? Like,
yeah.
So you can't have that much belief in some of these. I don't think. Not until Bitcoin hits all-time high. Then you can start to be like, okay, now we can really start moving again.
Did these Bollinger
It's been such a disappointing year.
Man, I had subscribed to this notion that, like, I've been doing this for a while, that cycle can't be over because we didn't have like a glorious blow off the top. 2024 was crazy, man, when I really think back to it. Like, I went through a top signal list yesterday on stream. There was a lot between WIF, 5 billion, GOAT, AI season, Cerebro, Chill Guy, Trump launched a coin, Bitcoin 125. Like, there was like a lot of signals everywhere. It just like wasn't this like glorious blow off like I think people were expecting or wanted. But man, I mean, shit is down pretty bad right now, alts wise. Everything's down 70-80%, which is a little bit. Is that alarming to you?
Yeah, it's pretty rose tinted, isn't it? Because I remember, like, we look back at 2024, it was like, that was the wildest year. Take me back to 2024. I remember 2024. Like, people also were just like fucking scammers. Like,
Facts.
everyone trying to get into the daily runner, and it was just like, oh, like, kill me.
It was brutal.
Yeah. It's difficult, right? Because you just don't, you never know when the good old days are the good old days. There was money to be made being like a culture carrier, I think, a bit more, or like being a bit closer to the meme coin streets last year. Mm-hmm. This year, it's been you kind of had to be in DeFi, bro. Like, the things that have really moved have been DeFi coins, and all the memes have just gotten smoked. So it's definitely been a more boring cycle. There's been a few takes on your show, which is like maybe crypto is not going to be the number one place for trading in general for the next few years. Do
you believe that?
I'm not. I can see how that can be true. Let me put it that way. Like, there's been some crazy trades this year, obviously. Like, we've just been in Zcash. It's just going to move like that. And sometimes when people talk about stocks, it's kind of funny. When you go into like FinTwit and this sort of stuff, they're like, people will be bragging, and you bring up the chart and it's moved like 30-40% in like 7 months. Crazy. And you're like, okay, bro, like, I do not give a shit about that. I think it will be kind of annoying to get back into that, because the volatility of this space it's like a feature. It's not a bug. Like, it is cool to be part of a market which is also like super volatile like that, and that people get, you get huge liquidation wicks that you get into. Zcash is currently.
Are you watching this?
Getting slipped.
Are you selling here or no?
Well, I'm in the no. I'm happy with my bag now. I'm like,
oh,
this is kind of what, but this is me in the trading competition. I'm up to 6th. I'm coming for you, Donald. I'm coming for you.
Wow.
I think I can see why maybe AI can be more interesting here. Like, if it's just going to be DeFi and memes and culture stuff is not really gonna, still gonna be a little bit slow, then I can imagine people like going to like the the really cutting edge tech stuff, which is going on in AI or biotech or defense.
Okay, then my
or this sort of stuff.
last topic for you is, how afraid are you of Sam Altman and the circular AI hop all the money that is just like eating itself?
Oh yeah, the fucking spend, the capex spend. I don't like Sam Altman.
Dude,
I think
he fails the physiognomy. There's shit in his basement, bro. I just telling. I don't know. He fails it bad. He's welcome on the show, by the way, but he fails it.
There's just something about that whole thing which seems unnerving. Everything about it. You know, like how the fucking CFO is coming out. Maybe she was misquoted or whatever, but like saying essentially that we need a US backstop for AI after they literally just went from a non-profit to a for-profit and are spending hundreds of billions of dollars a year. It's just like, come on, guys. I'm not a fan of him. I'm a big fan of Elon. I do think that he's going to destroy the competition when it comes to all this AI stuff. Like, I think he's a real, like, what's happened with a lot of those AI companies, that they've regressed now into being almost infrastructure engineering plays, right? Like, they've had to get an insane amount of energy and GPUs, and they're building like Colossus out in, you know, the American South, or I forget which city it is, maybe like Memphis or Nashville, I think. But like, they're building these huge data centers, and he's just like destroying them, I think, in being able to like set up big infrastructure projects around AI. I think he's going to do very well from it. Sam Altman he does unsettle me on all of this, but I'd still be a buyer of Tesla over them all.
Is there an angle here where twofold? One, it like sort of is a national security risk that the government just pours money into AI because we have to win like the race against China, and then twofold is that you probably have to just like stay bullish risk until Nvidia drops 50%. Like, is that?
Yeah, I don't see Nvidia dropping 50%. Like, I still think that there will be infinite demand for GPUs for a long time. No one's just going to let off the gas in this sort of period because the prize is so big. And I do think there is like obviously there's massive ramifications of things like defense, a lot of very strategic things that the US is involved in related to AI. I do think that there is, you know, they do need to be probably working with the government, but to backstop them, I think, is kind of like a ridiculous way to look at it, because the upside would only be for the private institutions, right? It's not like if you started backstopping these AI companies that they're going to share their profits with the US taxpayer. No, fair. It's going to have insane profits. So I think, I think there is something to be said about that, but I don't think it won't happen in the US. It just won't happen in the US. So the US is just, they're going to be fine, man.
So it kind of feels like then it's like, how bad if Nvidia is not going to drop 50%, stock, if you don't think equities are going to get wrecked that bad, at least the Mag 7 and whatnot, it's like, don't you kind of just teeter bullish at all times on risk until you're forced out of it?
For sure. I'm a big bull, for sure. Like, obviously AI can go through waves, right? Where everyone gets too euphoric and everyone's in a bit of a circle jerk with the capex spend and the valuations. You can get that. You can get, like, if somebody starts writing one research paper where it says like, this is all bullshit, all the stocks drop 10%, but at the end of the day, they're still going to be going like tooth and nail for AGI over the next few years, and they are just going to buy as many GPUs as fucking possible. So I don't see how this unravels. Not for a long time, in my opinion, just because there's just so much belief that this is like world-changing technology. I do think that some of the Mag 7, which are in the capex side of things rather than the hardware side of things, I think that they, you know, maybe they don't go up as much, because, you know, like, why Apple should really go up that much in this sort of world when they haven't really been doing anything. Well, maybe not, Apple's not a good example, maybe like Meta or some of these other companies that have been spending the vast majority of their capex on AI related stuff, and they still haven't really got that much to show for it. Maybe that is a bit of a worry, but the whole AI thing isn't going to break down. There's no, like, I don't see it, not at all. So yeah, I'm a big bull, and I'm a fucking big bull because I also think that the vast majority of nation states are essentially bankrupt and will have to print money to get out of all of this. So you need to own risk assets, and I think Bitcoin will just have an infinite bid basically for the next few years.
Damn, that's awesome. Okay, my actual last topic, and I'll let you go, is at what point, especially on a show like this or like what you talk about all the time, at what point do we have to start being like, all right, I should be paying at least more than I am attention to equities. I should be paying attention to other stuff. Like, should we be trading stocks? Should I be trading stocks? Like, would I be able to trade stocks if we're able to hit this stuff in crypto? Is it easier or harder? Like, at what point are we feeling like we should pay attention?
You can trade them in hyperliquid. I think you should. This year has kind of shown that it's going to be a bit more even, I think, between AI and crypto for a bit here. So I think pay attention. Sure.
Like, can I be nice at stocks? Is it the same game? Same skill set?
It's more boring for sure. Like what I just told you, where it's like, oh, hey, it's up 40% in 7 months. Like you will get bored by the lack of volatility, but there's definitely going to be like easy upside sort of stuff in some of these things. I can't see you moving away from crypto though, man. Like this show is going to still be crypto focused.
Dude, I'm a freak for the volatility though. My brain is fried from this shit. Like I need the like swings. Otherwise, it's like I'd rather just hold cash than fucking like DeFi farm for 5% APY. You know?
Right. So it's just just lean into it. Just
dude,
do more.
They had me looking at fucking bank stocks the other day. I'm looking at Western Union earnings and shit. I'm looking at it hasn't moved 5% in a year. I'm like, dude, what the fuck am I gonna do with Western Union, Mando?
Who's getting you on that?
I had this whole rant where I'm freaking out about like I feel like the barbell in crypto right now are like trading platforms like hyperliquid, perp dexes, all of this, and then payments. But I don't know how to go long. Like, how do you go long payments, stable coins, all this? I'm like freaking out about it. And so someone's like, dude, Western Union. And I'm looking at the 20-year chart, Western Union. And I'm like, fucking, this is awful. This looks terrible. Looks bottom though.
No, this is the other thing about again, your investment strategy. Don't go trying to buy bottoms in assets which have done fucking nothing for years and years and years. Buy new highs. What's making new highs right now? Tech stocks and gold.
I want Robin.
Right? Don't get caught being like, the valuation on bank stocks looks good here. Like, fuck that. Like, you will not see upside in that. You will see a bounce from a support level. So just focus on the thing that is breaking out and hitting new highs in all markets at all times.
I want Robinhood is what I want to buy. Shit like that. I can't buy Western Union. I'm looking at I'm looking at like charting Rivian and shit. I'm like, dude, we're studying Rivian earnings. I'm like, this is awful. I hate this. You know the other problem with stocks is there's like too many stocks, bro.
Yeah, just focus on the ones breaking out to new highs. That's the point. Like, you really don't have to focus on half of this stuff. Just focus on the stuff which is like, wow, it's so much easier that way.
I wish someone told me this when I first got into crypto, that you could just hold the best coins and do nothing else. I wish I knew that.
Yeah, but you do have a very, very tight risk system about them, for sure. You can, but you could, that will also get you wrecked unless you have like, right, well, if it starts to break down, then I know I'm getting out. You can't just keep on holding the best coins and think they're going to go up forever. Sometimes they rug you pretty hard.
Unless you have Zcash. Okay, as a sign off, tell us like, I mean, dude, what's the next trade? If you're relatively flat right now, like what should you be doing and what should we be looking at?
I mean, I just think Bitcoin. I know this is really fucking boring, but don't go diving into altcoins on a good day until Bitcoin goes above 110K. There's nothing which is breaking out over like a multi-month cycle right now, which looks amazing. They kind of look like they might rug you at any one moment. So wait until Bitcoin's at least above 108, probably above 110K, and then you can start to look at what's breaking out. And I think Hyperliquid probably looks one of the best. Like to me right now, if Bitcoin goes back to 100, 110, I would be very unsurprised if Hype is not knocking at the door at like 50. And then it's right. Well, if then Bitcoin goes to all-time highs, Hype would go up again. So that's the one that, to me, if you zoom out, right, Hype has been in this range since May. I mean, arguably, like it was around this level even last year, right? Like it was at 33, so it's not far from where it was. That's the sort of thing that you could be like, right, it's been in this range for, let's say, we get to December, 7 months. It's got a shot. It's got a shot at breaking out to towards new highs if Bitcoin starts to break above 110, 115K. So that's probably the one out of the altcoins, other than Zcash, which right now looks okay.
Funding is negative again.
Always good. Write it down.
How much leverage are you trading with? Zcash is not spot.
Pretty low. Mainly it was leverage, yeah. I mean, I tried to do the near intent stuff, but I never got enough size on it. So, but it's low. It's low. But I use trading bots. 2 or 3 normally, yeah. But they get very long in quite big size. So, but if they get to the bottom of the range, they get quite long. So, yeah, about 2 or 3, I've tended to find is like the best way to do it. It's a different way of trading. Some people like they don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about when I talk about grid bots, right? But to look into them. Every single major exchange allows you to do futures grid bots. So instead of just doing, I don't know if Hyperliquid does. I don't think it does, but at least on centralized exchanges they do.
Trading
so
on Hyperliquid? What do you trade on?
I mainly trade on centralized exchanges.
Like you're on Binance, Bybit? I guess you don't have to say.
Binance, Bybit, and a couple of others as well. Like I've just found liquidity better. Not necessarily just around Hyperliquid, but I just have always preferred it. So mainly it's been Binance, and then you can do all of that, all the bells and whistles around trading it around there. So I don't know. I'm a believer in decentralization, but there's also just like I want to sleep at night, and sometimes I just feel like I don't want to wake up one day and like somebody's drained something or this and the other. I know Bybit got hacked for like billions of dollars, but I just feel more comfortable having decent money sometimes in centralized exchanges. Maybe I'm wrong for that, but I think there are risks to, there's just as much, in my opinion, risk to DeFi as there is to centralized exchanges with the right centralized exchange.
Yeah. At what price are you buying Zcash again? 500?
I'm looking at this thing as well. Like it looks
decent. I'm ready to...
Where am I now in this fucking thing? I should have sold it more. I'm sixth.
640.
Fifth. That can go down. I'm not gonna catch a falling knife in that thing, actually. Like this is not the time so again, in this sort of a model, you don't need to be like, this is my level line in the sand to buy. I'd actually wait for it to then rally back and break out of a shorter term time frame indicator. So I'm never catching falling knives with this model. Never. I'm only ever buying a coin as it's breaking out. So right now, I'm not really interested in buying Zcash until it starts to show it's breaking out again on a shorter term time frame. So I'd look, whenever I'm buying a coin, it's never at the lows or like near the lows. That's the mindset that can get wrecked in crypto. Like you don't want to be catching falling knives. You don't want to be buying bottoms. You want to be buying breakouts. So Zcash looks like it's now breaking back down. I'm not interested until it starts breaking back out again.
Tell me if you buy again. Tell me when. I just want to follow your
Sure.
Your strat. Our chat is like unreal.
Dude, gotta make that one public.
Mando, you're the GOAT, bro. Thanks, dude. You're on a man. It's time to start some fucking conversations about where you sit on the throne of crypto Twitter. But thanks for coming on. You have anything to show before you leave?
Not really. I think people know what I'm involved in. Eat, Rex, do loads of shows. So come check those all out.
You just like love doing streams, like what you just like love doing it.
I mean, I do a fucking lot of them.
Are you like,
I do a lot of them, but like, you know, what? I do like it. It's easy. You just get your head get your head straight sometimes doing them, right? You really do. Particularly daily shows, you keep up with stuff much easier if you're doing a daily show. Like you're not going to miss news doing your show. You're never going to miss a runner if you're doing your show, right? So I just find it much easier than having to scroll X for ages. You can't just getting on a show, particularly with a co-host which knows what's going on in the market. You pick stuff up and you're never going to miss anything. So I found it the easiest way just to keep up with the market.
Well, you're one of the best, man. It was a pleasure. I'll come back on at Zcash 2K or 0. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
See you soon, man.